What up, YouTube? Um, Wanted to talk about how I was cured of depression and suicide or suicidal tendencies. I'm gonna give you a little background on me. Um, I am 33 years old right now. I got saved and accepted Jesus Christ when I was 15, maybe 16 years old. I want to say 15. And I started getting depressed around the age of 16 years old. And I never stopped being depressed until the age of 30 years old, which was 3 years ago. Um, so basically, all my life, I was depressed. And when I say depressed, I mean I never knew what happiness was, ever. Never. Most people probably don't understand how that's possible, what that feels like. But trust me, you can go your entire life without ever knowing what happiness is and always being sad. I know because I went through it. So I suffered from severe depression. And when I say I suffer from depression, I mean out of a whole year, I might have 2 months that I wasn't extremely depressed, you know? From the age of 15 or 16 all the way up to 30 years old. And I would get depressed and I would try to kill myself. I've done it so many times. There's no possible way to even keep count on how many times I attempted it. And I was always serious about it. I never told family, I didn't tell friends, I would just do it secretly. The first time I did it, I'll just give you one story. The very first time I tried it, the second time I tried it, my first real attempt, I want to say 17 years old. And I'll make a video on this because there's a lot to this, especially when I went to heaven. But that's a story for another day. Anyways, I took a bunch of pills and I wound up in a coma, medically induced coma for 3 days. On life support. I was hooked up to every machine you could be in order to keep me alive. Breathing machine, everything. Tubes in my nose, tubes in my mouth, tubes in other places that you don't ever want tubes in. So, that was the first time. And I would attempt suicide at least 2-3 times a year, if not more, all the way from the age of 16 up to 30 years old, every year, all the time. My family knows of a few attempts because, well, they had to get me to the hospital to save me. But I would say about 90% of all the times nobody knows about, because nobody was there to witness it. Nobody was there to help me. Nobody was there to save me. So, understand, I had severe depression my whole life. All I ever thought about was dying. That was the only thing that brought me comfort in a weird way. Some people can understand that. But not a good comfort. Now that I'm fine, I look back on it now, and that's not comfort. That's an addiction to pain and suffering. And Now understand, I was also saved. I have, and I had, a deep relationship with Jesus Christ. Every single time I tried to kill myself, all these years, I always had a deep relationship with Him. Always. So I've always been a child of God from the age of 15 until now. But I also suffered severe depression, which never made too much sense to me, because it's like, if I'm a child of God, why would I suffer like that? So that's my background. And just to give you a few examples that I just do, little suicide attempts, I'll give you a rundown of a few ways I've done it. And I should have died plenty of times, but I never did. And some of them were miracles that I didn't die. Like the first time I did it, I ate, I was telling you the story earlier, I ate. And I know this because I checked the bottles and I counted. And I was 16 years old, or 17. I think I was 17. I took 250 pills, 4 different kind. Ate them all, like a bowl full. And that's why I was on life support. Everything shut down. Every single organ, basically, I had shut down, except for my heart. My heart never stopped, but everything else did. Everything stopped, even my lungs stopped working. That's a story for another time. That'll be a long story too, because I got to see angels, or one angel, and I did go to heaven. And that's a story for another time, though. But some of the ways I've done it, overdosing, plenty of times, more times than I can count, trying to die by overdosing on pills, and 99% of the times never went to the hospital. I just never worked. I would get messed up, but it never worked. There's one time when I drank half a cup of antifreeze, which should kill you, and it should have killed me. The only reason I didn't is because Jesus, or God. My ex-wife was actually on the phone with me when I did that. Now, I believe it only takes about a teaspoon of antifreeze for you to ingest in order for it to kill you. I drank half a cup. I didn't go to the hospital. I think I was 18 years old at that time. Yeah, I lived in New Hampshire for a short time, and just being depressed. So I drank half a cup of antifreeze. I laced 3 cigarettes with poison also. I got that from a movie. I forget the movie, but I seen it in a movie, and that's the way the guy killed himself. So I was like, I'll try it too. So I laced 3 cigarettes with poison, drank half a cup of antifreeze, and it's not hard to drink because it tastes like cotton candy. Believe it or not, it's really weird. It's very tasty for some odd reason. I don't know why that is. And then I smoked the 3 cigarettes, one after another. And probably about 10-20 minutes later, I went outside. And I remember I sat on a bench and I got off the phone with my ex-wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. And I think she ended up trying to call 911 or something, but she lived across the country. She didn't know where I lived, so there's no way they were going to get to me. And then I started to die, and I knew I was because I couldn't breathe, and it was weird. Like I lost all energy. I couldn't breathe. It was kind of scary. And I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you a little more about that. But right as I should have died, it's antifreeze. It will kill you. I drank half a cup. Understand? I go Google. I don't know the exact amount. The minimum amount you need to kill you. I did it once. It's like a teaspoon or something, maybe less. And as I'm dying, and I started not to be able to breathe anymore, so I couldn't really talk. And then I heard out loud, voices. Now, I don't know if it's the antifreeze and the poisonous cigarettes I smoked, so maybe I was just tripping. I doubt it. But I heard the voices loud and clear, and they were demonic. They were laughing and laughing and laughing. I don't remember what they were saying. There's a bunch of them, more than one, as I'm dying. And they're just... I might have not even been able to tell what they were saying because there was too many. They were talking all at once. Like, it was crazy. And as I was dying, I was like, no. I said, Lord, Father God, please forgive me. I don't want to die right now. And I meant it. And as soon as I said that, I could breathe. I was fine. The voices stopped. Everything stopped. Instantly. 100% fine. The second I asked God, forgive me for what I've just done. Don't want to die right now. Fun. I was done. I was perfectly fine. I looked around and was like, wow. I got up and I went back into the house. I never went to the hospital. Nothing, no bad effects, nothing like that. In fact, I've never suffered permanent damage from any of my suicide attempts. I've done a lot. The first time I tried it, the doctors told my mom that I would more than likely have issues with my liver for the rest of my life because of the amount of pills I took and the amount of damage they believed I had done to my liver. But never had any lasting effects ever, not one time, except for the scars. So I've drank half a cup of antifreeze. I've tried hanging myself. I attempted, I could never go through with it. You know, your body will start to fight if you try to hang yourself, so you have to do it the right way, and I could never bring myself to it, even though I tried many of times. Overdosing was my way of doing it. What are some other significant ways? Before I got cured of depression and suicide, twice I took a butcher knife and slit almost from ear to ear my throat, and that was when I was 29 years old, 4 years ago. That time I didn't want to do it. I even called 911. And, the first time I didn't call 911, I think I called my sister. And I told her, I just slit my throat. And luckily she was on her way home. Or on her way out of her job, and she was going to her house. So she was like, stay where you are. I'm coming to you right now. And I slit my throat. I still have the scars. They're not big right there. I went from ear all the way like that. I had to get like 5 staples to close my neck. That's another story too. That's a long story. Doctor said I was lucky to be alive. They said 1 more centimeter deeper, because it opened up like that. It was like that wide open. It was like an inch into my throat, from what my sister described, because she was there with me in the hospital. And I remember the doctor saying, if you had cut it 1 centimeter deeper, it would have got your jugular vein, and that would have bled out. So that was a miracle. There's a lot more to that too, but those are other videos. And so when I say I was suicidal, yeah, I was. And I tried so many different ways, but it never worked. Ever. And I've been on death's doorstep more times than probably anybody else on this planet. And that's not bragging, that's not a good thing. So then, I was 30 years old 3 years ago, and I had decided I'm gonna do it again. And I want you to understand, this isn't normal depression like people have, because I know the difference now that I'm fine and I've been cured. The depression I have, I understand now, is a type of demonic depression, where it is demonic demons that God, I'm gonna sound like I'm nuts, but I really don't care what people think. Where they oppress you so much that it brings you down. There's a difference. I don't know how to explain that. There's normal depression, and then there's demonic depression. But anyways, so the last time I had it all planned out. So I'm gonna donate my eyes, my heart, and all that the hospital could have, all my body parts, give it to somebody that's in need, because I didn't want my body to go to waste, you know. So I planned it out. I was like, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna do it. So the day before, I wanted to go see my older sister for the last time, because I haven't seen her in like a year, I think. So I went over her house just to say hi. I think I spent like 30 minutes there with her, and she knew something was wrong. Because as I was like, okay, well, it's nice seeing you again. I'm gonna go. And as I stood up, she stood up. And she looked at me, and she almost started crying. And she just ran up and grabbed me and hugged me, which is weird, because my family's not a hugging family. She is, but I don't like being hugged. She knows that. And she's never hugged me like that. Maybe once or twice in my life. I don't like being hugged. But she ran up and she hugged me while almost crying. And I believe what she said is, Josh, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And I was like, I'm fine. What are you talking about? Even though I wasn't fine. But apparently she could see it in my eyes. And then even my nephew ran up to me and gave me a hug. Hugging my legs, because, you know, he's still a child. And they both hugged me for like a whole straight minute. And I was super uncomfortable. I don't like being hugged. It doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I said, okay. I said, that's enough. Let go. Get off me. And she let go. And she was like, it's gonna be okay. Whatever you're planning, don't. And I said, don't worry about it. And I left. And I went back to my house. And I went to my room. And I sat there and I was like, tomorrow's the day. I had a plan that I was gonna go on the highway. Walk down the highway, wait for a semi-truck. And then, right as it's about to pass me, I was gonna jump out in front of it and dive head first to make sure my head got crushed, snap my neck. You can't survive that. I had it all planned out. There was not gonna be any way I could survive. I was fixed on it at this time. Because it's always a challenge. I'm always like, I can do it this time. No matter what. I mean, I thought by my neck, I thought that would work. Both times it didn't work, even though it should have. So, I had it all planned out. And I sat in my room. And I said, Lord, I'm gonna die tomorrow. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, because I've never asked for Jesus' help, even though he has told me many of times, ask me for help. And I've always refused it my whole life, and he always told me, ask, 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 and I will help you. But I always refused. Not one time did I ever ask God to help me with my depression or being suicidal. But that night, the night before I had it planned, I said, Lord, I've never asked you this, but now I am. Please, take this from me. I don't want to be depressed anymore. I don't want to be suicidal anymore. I'm tired of living my life like this, you know? And as soon as I said that, and and I was on my hands and knees. As soon as I said that, all the energy left out of my body. I fell right on the floor. I mean, completely flat on the floor. And it's so hard to explain this. I had joy, happiness, and peace that came over me like I've never had in my life. And I know Jesus was there. He came to my room. Now, I didn't see him with my eyes. I didn't hear him out loud. But as I laid on the floor, I understood Jesus was there. And he says, and I don't know how long it lasted. To me, it felt like forever that this experience lasted while I laid on the floor, smiling. I mean, I was so joyful. I remember thinking, I must look so stupid right now, laying on the floor, completely flat on the floor, not being able to move. I tried to get up. I couldn't move. I tried to lift even my arm up, and it felt like it was 1,000,000 pounds. I could not move an inch of my body, but I was so happy. I was crying while smiling, and it was so beautiful. And I know Jesus was there, and he's like, okay. I don't remember exactly what he said at first, but he's like, I knew that he took it from me. And I said, thank you, Jesus. You've taken it from me. And he said, and I remember him saying, yes. All you had to do was ask. And he says, I'm here, and I'm going to spend as much time as you want with me right now. And I don't know how much time passed. I honestly have no clue. Time, I don't even know how to explain it. Like 1,000 years is a day with the Lord. I understand that scripture after that experience. I was like, that's what that scripture means. I understand now what that means. I think, I want to say it lasted 2-3 hours, but it might have lasted 10 minutes. I don't know. To me, it felt like an eternity. I was with Jesus in my room, and I got to talk to him. I got to ask him anything I wanted, and I've never had an experience like this before. There's plenty of times where I've talked to Jesus and stuff, and I've had conversations with him. As crazy as that sounds to some of you out there, yes, it is possible. And if you haven't, well, you should probably work on your relationship a little bit more. But anyways, while I laid there, I could ask, and Jesus says, is there anything you want to ask me? I will tell you everything. And I said, Lord, why? Why, if I'm your child, have you allowed me to go my entire life never knowing happiness, always trying to kill myself, always being super depressed? I was like, why, Jesus? I've been your child my whole life. And he's so loving. He says, I have always wanted to free you of this, but you never asked. And I told you all throughout your life, just ask me. And okay, there's the answer. Well, no need to talk about it any further. I understood, I don't know how to explain it. When talking to Jesus, when he says something, there's no arguing, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, you just understand it. And I talked to him for a long time. Like I said, I have no idea how long, but I asked him a lot of things. Like, I was very curious. I was like, Lord, when did this start? Like, why did I become depressed and suicidal in the first place? And as soon as I asked it, and this is going to be hard to explain, as soon as I asked him, what got me, like, why was that allowed when I'm your child? And as soon as I would ask him, it's hard to explain, every memory from childhood, from the very time it started, all came back to me, like clear, crystal clear, like just memories I haven't thought about since childhood, since I became depressed at the age of like 16 or 15. Like, it's so hard to explain. Like, everything just came back. I understood. I remembered every detail, every memory, every word said. And he says, the day you made the deal with the devil. And I did. I was young, I was stupid, I don't know why I did it, but I did do it. That's a story for another time. But when I was 16 years old, for whatever stupid reason, till this day, I don't know why. I had a deep relationship with Jesus at this point. I have no idea why I did it. No idea, but I remember I just sat there and said, you know what, Lucifer? I want to cut a deal with you. I want 3 things from you. I want to be a drug dealer. I want all women to be attracted to me, teenager. And the 3rd thing, I can never remember what that is. Don't remember. But he granted me all 3 of those things the very next day. Now I know it wasn't him, because obviously it's not the devil. He's got better things to do. He can only be in one place one time. He ain't wasting his time on me. What it was God. And he was permitting it. So Jesus explained to me, he's like, on that day that you decided to try and pray to the devil is the day it was granted to the demons to oppress you. And it's so hard to explain that, but Jesus, because I did that sin, because I did that foolish sin, he granted permission to demons to basically torture me my entire life. And let me make it clear, I could have asked Jesus for forgiveness and help anytime, and he would have stopped all of it. I could have asked him at the age of 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's not like he was making me suffer. I refused to ask for help from him. So it's not Jesus punishing me for my whole life as he's evil or something, or he's mad or something. No. I was suffering the consequences for my actions, but he's merciful, and he would have helped me if I had asked. Anyways, and I said, okay, Lord, I understood. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no arguing. There's you just understand when he speaks. And I had a long conversation with Jesus all about everything in my life, every single thing, and he gave me answers for every single question I had, gave me understanding, and I wish I could explain with words how it is. But 3 years now since that night that Jesus cured me of it. No more depression, no more suicidal attempts, no more suicidal thoughts. Not one. Not one. And that's a miracle for any family or friends that have ever known me my entire life. Because I've always been known as the one that tries to kill himself. Now, why am I putting this out? I don't know. Maybe it can help somebody. I don't know. Everybody's situation is different. I just know why I was depressed. And that is because of a stupid deal I made when I was 16 years old, and I was being stubborn and refused to ask Jesus and God for forgiveness. But I want to tell you, I don't know what your situation is, what your circumstances is, but talk to Jesus about it. Talk to him if you know him, because he set me free. In 3 years now straight, I swear, not one single thought of suicide, no depression anymore. It's amazing. It really is. I never knew what happiness was until I was free. And it's beautiful. I'm like, this is how people live? People are happy? This is what it feels like to go through life? It still brings a smile to my face still, because it's so amazing to me. It still is, because all I've known is sadness my whole life. And don't get me wrong, I still get depressed, but not the way I used to. Like now I call it sadness. I get sad. And I think most people call that depression. And that's because most people, I believe, don't know what real depression is. Because it is horrifying to be depressed. It really is. If you've never been depressed, it is life crippling. Some of you understand. But yeah, 3 years now, no depression, no suicidal thoughts, no voices, and I'm not talking about audible voices, but no voices in the head saying you're a piece of crap, you're worthless, you just kill yourself, you're a burden to everyone in your life, your family hates you. Those are the thoughts that would run through my head almost every day. And I understand now, because Jesus explained it. He said that those were demons, and that was them oppressing you, and they would drive you to the point that you would try to kill yourself. And I should mention too, Jesus said specifically to me that he never granted the demons to take my life. Ever. That's why I never died. Because Jesus never allowed them or granted them permission to actually take my life. But they could push me to the point of almost dead. Like, I have tried it so many times. More than you will ever know. I've been at death's doorstep more times than probably anyone on this earth. And I have been to heaven. Where are these? Yeah, that's another story anyways. But I will say this. After I had however long I spent with Jesus, it still boggles my mind because I don't understand how I don't understand. It's so hard because I spent what felt like years with him in my room, but it wasn't. It had to have only been maybe an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know. I can't tell time with that experience. It was so weird. But the last thing he told me, and mind you, there was no rush. He said, now that I have freed you, you can never attempt it again, or you will die. And that's the last thing he told me. And he says, do you understand that? I said, yes, Lord. He says, you can never try it again, or you will die. For now, I have freed you. I've been depressed free and suicidal free for 3 years now. All because of Jesus, because I asked him. That's my experience. Sorry for the long video. Probably nobody will watch it. Maybe somebody will. Maybe it'll help someone. I don't know. Anyways, Zombie Survivor out.